Happy Saturday. It is the 25th of October. I am cold. It's 64 degrees in my house. We have not used this heater yet, and I don't want to be the first to do it. And I'm home alone because my dad's at the Alabama-South Carolina game, so I'm not gonna mess with it because like if I mess it up, that would be very bad. Like I'm not trusting myself, even though it's literally, you know, just pressing a button a few times, but I'm not gonna be the one to do it first. But yeah, it says it's 64 outside as well. Don't know how true that is because sometimes it takes the computer a little while to update. We will start with A Mystical Morning. The reading, I'm gonna get all my reading time in today because I do have a baseball game to watch tonight, but you know, it's on TV. It's in Toronto. I don't have a passport. I can go to that. The hockey game is away. It's in Virginia, so I'm not going to be at any hockey games tonight. But I am going to read one Impractical Magic since I am doing it as an audiobook and I don't feel like doing that during commercial breaks. I feel like that's just going to be, this mind's not going to be comprehending that well, especially with how the game went yesterday, where it, I was yelling. The baseball game, hockey game, I mean, they blew the game, but I wasn't as, you know, it's, every game matters, but in the World Series is different from the 5th game of the season. So, rest in the cards. What will my feelings be like today? This card. What will my health be like today? This card. This card kind of has some wear on the top of it. They smell good. I did just wash my hands as well. So what will my thoughts be like today? Put the deck over here. Feelings. The Dancing Bears. This is the Three of Visions reversed. So the Three of Cups reversed, and yeah, we just have some bears dancing, having a jolly good time. So this really means just like independent, being on my own today, which as I told you, I am home alone today, probably till about like 8 o'clock or something. But the Three of Visions, so I can get the exact definition for y'all. And Three of Visions reverse. So again, independence, alone time, hardcore partying. I don't plan on doing anything like that. That's a no for me. And three's a crowd. So yeah, the independence, having that alone time, that's how my feelings are going to be today, which I am okay with that. Like, I'm fine with that. So let's see what will health be like. Another reverse, and this is the Seven of Spells, which is the Seven of Wands reversed. And we have drawn this one fairly recently, if I remember correctly. The Seven of Spells reversed, so again, this is health that we drew this for, means giving up, overwhelmed, and overly protective. So being protective of yourself, of your body, not wanting to let all the toxins or whatever else inside. So I think maybe that means, okay, I'm gonna behave today like with my health, rather than having something like junk food, I'm gonna have something healthy instead. That I think can be being, I mean, that overly protective, but I do think that's protecting your body, you know, just taking care of yourself. Now for thoughts. The Ace of Boons, we drew him yesterday as well, but in the reverse. But again, y'all know I love this card. It reminds me of Mr. Toad, who's a little like garden toad at my house, who likes to sleep in the flower pots. That's who this card reminds me of. I hear a plane. I wonder if they're going to the game. Doesn't say where it's going. But okay, the Ace of Boons. So what does the Ace of Boons means? Also, it's the Ace of Pentacles. I don't know if I said that. Manifestation, new financial opportunity, and prosperity. So I did like affirmations today, again, with this new moon in Libra, that you can do this stuff all week. So just saying, I was doing mirror work, but saying like positive affirmations to yourself, being like, I am beautiful, I am successful, and looking at yourself in the mirror, having that direct eye contact with yourself in the mirror, because you can't lie to yourself, you're making that direct eye contact. So I think that is, since I did practice that this morning, that might be in regards to that. But yeah, I ultimately felt so good after I did that. I went and filmed 2 TikToks, and I'm in a stained sweatshirt. I have maybe a little bit of eye makeup from last night on still. I haven't done skincare today, but I felt so beautiful. I was like, I look so cute, and my hair looks all healthy. Like, yeah, so I felt really good after just saying positive things to myself, thinking positive things. And it doesn't even have to just be about your looks. It can be about how, like I was saying, I will be successful, I am focused, I am making progress. So it doesn't only have to be things about your looks. So I just wanted to share that with y'all today. But at 1 o'clock, so in 9 minutes, I'm going to get into practical magic, and I do think I will have an update for y'all today, most likely. I got to the 76% mark in practical magic, so I want to go over my thoughts that I had on this quarter. This was the quarter where I had the least amount of thoughts, because I mean, we're 75% of the way into the book, you know, but we just had like a major plot development, or what I think is going to be one, because it's kind of like, whoa, where did this come from? So we'll have to see where that goes. But my first one is that this book does a really good job at painting a picture in your head. I would say it's descriptive, but not dense. It's just very picturesque, and Alice Hoffman does a good job at painting that picture for you of the scenes in her story. But with the writing, this might fall in tone, it is a bit vulgar. Now, I'm somebody, I do not care if there's smut in books, I don't care if there's sex in books, I don't care if there's swearing, like, that doesn't bother me, and it's not ruining my reading experience. I just want to make note of it because it kind of had me shocked, like, just sexual remarks that are made, and I'm just like, whoa, I don't want to even say what they're saying, I don't want to say it in the vlog, but I'm just like, whoa, wasn't expecting that. So just know that it is like very vulgar in a sexual way. Then I wanted to read a quote to y'all from page 176, because let's see what it was. This is about two characters who are most likely falling in love with each other. They're in their own world, a place so dreamy and complete they don't have to pay attention to traffic or even to the fact that other human beings exist. I thought that was sweet. And lastly, this is Whimsy Goth, that aesthetic, as a book. If you love Whimsy Goth, I know the movie people are only sharing pictures of the actress. If you look up Whimsy Goth fashion, and when people talk about Whimsy Goth fashion or home decor, practical magic always comes up, but this is that aesthetic wrapped into a book. It fits it perfectly. So if you want Whimsy Goth, we are 6 days away from Halloween. This is where you need to go. I made myself some hot chocolate. I got some DoorDash today and got some hot chocolate mix because I didn't get to go to Starbucks yesterday, and Starbucks doesn't do DoorDash for hot chocolate. Like, they do all this other stuff. But after Vlogtober, I usually take a week off from vlogging, and I'm thinking I might do like ASMR vlogs on TikTok, and people always do their drinks on there and like low-key ASMR. So I think it could be a little fun, and I mean, it might do good for my social media. I am here to do my nightly reading update. Hold on, I always have to turn on the do not disturb because it goes crazy at nighttime. But I read 79 pages, getting me to, I think it was like 54% in The Warmth of Other Suns. We are over the halfway point now, and where can I put the book where y'all will be able to see it? Right there, please stay standing. Yeah, I took quite a bit of notes, because every time I am taking notes, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm not seeing anything that I need to take notes on, and I panic and start writing down random notes. But obviously I read 79 pages, so I did get notes later on. The first one is Phoenix, Arizona. So even though that state is technically in the West at this point, I said we're going to start calling him Bob, but it's still Sam Pershing, or has he been calling him Robert? So Pershing, he has gotten to Phoenix on his route west, and he's stopping at hotels because it's not the South. And they're like, we don't have a room. Goes to a next one, and they're like, no. And it's because none of these hotels want to let black people stay there. So that's just to show that even if it's beyond those boundaries of the South, it's not instantly better, you know. And that is just something where you can be past these boundaries, but it's still the same country. We've been talking about so much how it's like a different country going from one part to the other. But like, we have Ida Mae, who is going to Chicago, so they cross into Illinois, and she's like, it looks just like Kentucky, Tennessee, where Jim Crow laws are in effect. And that's what I'm saying. So like, it all looks the same, and you can still, we have Pershing going to Phoenix, and it's still racism is still, this was moving. I'm just going to read y'all the paragraph. Robert Pershing Foster would remember leaving after Easter, which unbeknownst to him was a popular time to leave. Given a choice, Southerners preferred not to go north facing winter, and leaving at Easter gave them plenty of time to adjust to the north before the cold set in. George Starling would, this is the line, George Starling would remember that he left Florida on April 14th, 1945, as if it were his birthday, which in a way it was, because it's just starting a whole new life for yourself. It's like a rebirth in a way. Talk about how we have talked about, you know, the difficulties that these people are facing when they do get to the north, but it just gets harder as time goes on. In the 1960s was when it was very difficult, because everything was kind of at a boiling point. I'm looking at the notes here, but in the, so the quote, but in the early 1960s, secluded regions of the rural South Alabama and Mississippi in particular had become war zones in the final confrontation between segregationists and the civil rights movement. So that made it all the more difficult to escape. As we see these people going north, they still bring parts with them, because I mean, they do, there was, okay, I do have a quote as well, but they're still bringing bits of home with them, or whether it be like their food, their recipes, traditions, like Juneteenth, and they even had like state clubs. So it compares to like places in like Minnesota, you know, where there's like all the Scandinavian immigrants will come together to have Scandinavian festivities, and you would see like the Charleston Club in Washington D.C., because a lot of people who went to D.C. Were from the Carolinas, and you would see just there was something with Louisiana. It was it wasn't Mardi Gras, but it was something that's, you know, that you really think of Louisiana, but it was in Oakland, because a lot of people from Louisiana went to Oakland. And it was just really interesting seeing where these direct links, because companies would be recruiting in certain towns. So where Ida Mae's from, Chickasaw County, a lot of the companies that were trying to get workers from there were in Beloit, Wisconsin. So there would be a lot of people from Mississippi in Milwaukee. If I were half as well treated home as here, a migrant in Pittsburgh told the economist Abraham Epstein early in the migration, I would rather stay there. So I mean, yeah, and how we were talking about in previous vlogs, that a lot of this kicked off because in World War I, that stopped a lot of European immigrants coming to those big American cities, because, I mean, there was a war going on, it wasn't safe to cross the Atlantic, and that is what really made the North look down at the South and trying to bring up low-income workers, because they didn't have the immigrants, the European immigrants, and they're like, the ones from the South are so much better because they already understand the language and all of this stuff. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But also in this book, it just shows that everything wasn't better right away. They could get out the South, they could go up north, they could go out west, but it was still very difficult. And they compare it to when you see people coming from like Asian countries in the Middle East who they might have been doctors over there, but then are taxi drivers in America, because they're just leaps and bounds that you have to get through in that immigration process. So it's just so interesting seeing how, comparing immigrating from another country to how Black people were immigrating to other parts of America, the similarities between the two. At one point in this, we were getting a lot of numbers, a lot of percentages, and a lot of that just went over my head. We were seeing that the Northerners they really did look down at the Black people. They were like, oh, they're unintelligent because they're from the South, and like stuff like that. But it was an interesting stat is that a lot of the people who were migrating from the South had their high school diplomas, had high school educations, more so than white people did in those northern cities. And if you think about it, is child labor is going on, you know, in these early parts of the century. So it makes me think that maybe those people were left school to go work in the factories and everything because of the Industrial Revolution. I could be wrong on that though, but I thought that was really interesting. And just bringing in all these numbers, no, I would have just been better with just words because numbers can get overwhelming for me. But I did think all that was interesting, showing all these claims that the people in the North were making. even people who were black people from the North, thinking that they were better than black people from the South. It was really interesting to see all that. But there is this thing called a term called the migrant advantage, saying that the black people and any immigrants who come from somewhere and go somewhere new looking for that better life for themselves, they're very determined people, and they are just very hardworking because they're trying to get what they want in life. They're trying to get the best life for them and their families. So that is where the term migrant advantage comes from. But Jesse Owens, big change in gears here. His family, they went from Alabama to go live in Cleveland. And again, with the North looking down on the Southerners and black Southerners, so Jesse has a very thick Southern accent. His teacher does not very understand him, so his nickname was JC, and she thought that he said Jesse because she cannot understand the Southern accent. So that is where the name Jesse Owens comes from, and it went into a lot of interesting bits of his story, how, you know, Hitler would not shake his hand because he was black. Comes back to America, doesn't get invited to the White House, doesn't get to shake the president's hand either. And when he goes to his own party celebrating his accomplishments at the Olympics, he has to ride in the freight elevator, not in the main elevator with all the white people. So he's like, I don't see that big of a difference between Nazi Germany and the Jim Crow era in the United States. And ending on a note of Chicago during the Great Depression, there were pigs and goats in the streets, trash in the streets. Like, it really sounded like a medieval city, you know, where they were just throwing, like, I don't know, they were throwing their waste into the streets like that, but that's what it felt like. I was just like, wow. And there was one striking comparison saying that these cramped apartments that they were in were like slave cabins placed on top of each other. That is what, in one of Ida May's sections, described it as, and it was just like, whoa, crazy to think about. But that is all for the vlog for the day. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you made it all the way through, leave a sun emoji in the comments below. And as always, comment, rate, and subscribe. Don't forget to ring that notification bell to be notified when all my videos go live. I'll see you in my next one. Bye.